Welcome all you lovely peoples. SeKo Rum and Mintcraft here. Having a little bit more casting of my recent ladder action. Have fun. I'm missing a saying. From the bottom left is the red Zerg versus Leanad. Sure. Blue Protoss, top right. Speed it up at the beginning here. Very large map. I think it's one of the only 4-player maps I actually still use in my chosen map pool. Leanad did play as random, and you'll see that I'm very happily just not scouting in the right direction. I don't think I even saw his probe though when I came up here. Man, I'm a tool. Should be passing that thing up. Anyways, I'll tell you guys a little about lower league random players. See, right now I should have just seen it. I should have been like, oh, I'm playing against Protoss, but I wasn't paying attention. Lower league random players, for the most part, want to try to use the element of surprise. Sorry, I got bad mojito burps. Use the element of surprise with their race. So the fact that I had seen that should have made it a bit easier for me, but you see I haven't actually been able to tell yet what type of player this is. And so what random players will do is they're usually not that good at most races. They just got a pretty decent capacity at all of them. A couple of the races are usually about cheesing or doing something a little bit crazier. As we can see from Leanad here, likely Protoss is his main race. I've got to assume he's actually not going straight away for a 4-gate. I've run into just so much 4-gate still when I'm playing on ladder, and I don't think it's really that necessary. Like at the top levels, if you're playing Protoss versus Protoss, absolutely. If you're playing against Terran, you're probably just going to get shut down. If you're playing against Zerg and they scout it, you really don't have a chance. But as we see for right now, that does not look like the case. He is down here pecking away. I haven't scouted his base yet, so I was worried maybe he was going to have a forge. So I believe I'm sending down a worker just to go and shove him a few times. I'm going to come in here, see what's going on. I see the funky looking wall off at the front. I see that the nexus isn't down yet, though he has the minerals for it. I just caught him microwing his other worker. So he's going to throw down another gateway. But he just has enough money now for another nexus, but I'm going to stay real close. I block him out. And then I'm going to go for the nexus block. Yeehaw! So anyways, my second hatch is going to be done pretty soon. He didn't have a forge, so otherwise I'd assume he'd just cannon rush me. And so he's going to try to chrono boost out a zealot now, as opposed to chrono boosting out more probes. Looking at the units tab, I am starting to get a lead, and I'm building more and more workers right now instead of attacking units. So I should have the opportunity to pull away a little bit here. I'm running in with a couple of lings, just to see if I can put a little bit of support on this at the same time. He is going to start wailing on this with as much as he can, because if you look at his minerals, he's managing to keep them lower by investing in things he didn't want to. More units. He's got 2 zealots and getting himself even more gas, when at this point I'm sure what he actually would like to be doing is getting down another nexus. And I'm just joining up behind this really heavy. I'm just pecking away at the front, trying to keep my stuff alive until I see the other zealot. And I'm going to let this thing go as late as possible before I end up cancelling it. And once again, the guy produced a giant pile of zealots I've forced out of him to do this. I'm going to wait as long as I can, cancel, get my minerals back. And if we look at the units tab now, very big worker lead, almost double the worker supply. So that was a really sweet move. First time I've tried it as well. These guys should probably attack stuff. What are you going to do? It's at this point that I realized that he built a ton of zealots that he's probably got no use for, so he's probably going to send them at me. Therefore, I'm going to drop down some crawlers, getting my roach warren, getting some gas. Probably could use even one more crawler or something like that. And I'm going to spread a little bit of creep here, as my injects were a little bit delayed because of my microwave. These crawlers are on the way. He is going to go for essentially a really super ass late pressure here. He doesn't even have his warp gate tech finished yet, but it's about to. He's got 2 gateways to make something happen off of this. I, at this point, don't have any other attacking units. I've just got the crawlers. Probably getting a few lings would have been smart, but I don't know for sure how much pressure he's putting on. So once again, if we look at my worker lead, I'm building another 8 or something like that. And he comes in with the zealots. I see this. I'm going to pull my workers in here to support. I really don't want to fight with my workers, but I don't want to lose right at this point, so I'm getting some lings out, sending some guys to chase after the sentries, because the sentries are weak. chasing him into a corner, which is cool. And I managed to pick off the mothership core just in time. And I'm starting to pop out a bunch of zealots. I did lose a bunch of workers there though, so my lead is down to 14 as opposed to, I think, 20 I had at one point. 2 more crawlers. I've got the minerals to support it. You see behind this, he hasn't even gone for it. He just finally is going for his nexus. He essentially went for a delayed 4-gate, but he hasn't converted all of his buildings yet. He has way not enough units here, so I'm just going to go push out and go for a surround. He did lose his stalker in a really cool dramatic spirally display. Unfortunately, that overlord that I ran away wasn't most well timed. Gonna run in my Zerglings here just to put the pressure on. Obviously, Zealots do a good job. The force fields suck. But I did notice during this that he's not covering anything on the high ground. So I'm just gonna go and put a little damage on from the top while he's doing this. Took out a stalker. And I'm just gonna fall back now. Believe he converted. Yeah, he's converted 4 gateways at this point. Behind this, he still hasn't made any workers. He's at 19 workers to my 33. Moving my creep ahead. Got 3 crawlers. A couple of roaches out here as well. I'm building another pile of roaches, another pile of lings. Looked like he was going to check to see for a 3rd. But at this point, I know this is kind of a 4-gate pressure thingy. So I'm just going to build up a bunch of units. It looks like I've just about got enough to push out. I haven't even got my Zergling speed, my lair, or anything like that yet. So I've really got to start worrying about my teching up. Yep, now that I've got enough units, now I'm going to push in. I'm going to run past his force fields. And we are going to do a lot of damage. He does have another mothership core, but the mothership core does so little damage that it really doesn't concern me. I'm just going to push forward a little bit, trying to secure a little bit of space. Oh, pardon me. Macro hatch, because I got tons of bank. Lair. Double Evo chambers. Speed. I'm going to hit the big tech all at once here. At home, he's finally starting to build more workers. I'm going to have to consider doing the same here pretty soon. Yeah, another 9 in production. I'm going to go and see what's going on at the front of his base right now. I know he just lost his whole army, and either he's got no macro at home and an army, or no army, and I'm just going to go run in for the win. So, I see there's a little bit of zealots at the top, so I'm just going to go do a little bit of poking. Once again, I see that he just has nothing of substance. He doesn't even have a cannon up here. Picking up some zealots. I see that the planetary nexus can still hit me that far. Warps in a couple of zealots to their death. And if you look at the damage that's getting done to these roaches, it's so small. I mean, yeah, I lose one. But I'm just going to sit back here and pick away at a few buildings. Behind this, I'm just macroing up another 13 workers in production. I do see the Immortal, so I'm going to back away before that does any damage. But I'm waiting to see if he's going to run out so I can surround him. He looks like he's not going to be that foolish, so I'm just going to pull back. If my speed was finished, I probably could have got the surround and the kill on those units. At this point, 56 workers, so a really good amount there. Both of my +1/+1 on the way. 2 more gases. And I should be moving over, yeah, moving over drone for a 3rd base. Somewhat delayed 3rd base, but I'm not super worried at this point. At his side, I mean, he's not even up at 30 workers yet. He's really had to cut a lot in order to try to get out defenses. At least now he's not worrying about... No, there he is, more immortals and sentries. Never mind. So he's in a tough spot. I know he's not going to push out anytime too soon. The observer is nice. I don't know if I caught that or not during the time. I only have 1 spore crawler at the back of my base right now. Building another pile of roaches. When you start seeing sentries and immortals, you can start feeling pretty secure in the fact that he's just going for some 2 base of timing against you. So don't be caught too off guard. Lots of lings. Lings is generally the way you're going to deflect that. Your roaches will get cut down by force fields, but your lings are expendable and they can generally jump out in time. Infestation pit happening. This base should be done here pretty soon. And on his side, I don't think he has a single forge yet, so he's not even worrying about upgrades at this point. Up to 30, still a little bit behind. I gotta pull out a few more workers, another 8 in production I'm gonna send over to my new base as soon as it pops. I'll keep my army in a good position. I've got a ling up here looking at the 3rd, I have a ling down here taking the watchtower. It'd be nice to have one more overload up here just to see if there's any hidden bases. Supply-wise, I've still got a really big supply lead. You can see I'm going into Enduring Locusts, another 10 workers. My 1-1 will finish here soon. Immediately getting my gases at this base. And back on his side, he's going to go for a Warp Prism and a little bit more gateways here, now that he can afford that kind of production. Just scouting out, which is a smart thing to do. Your mothership is likely not going to get shot down too easy. I probably could have gone a couple of ways here. I'm going to go for Swarmhosts because I never use Swarmhosts and I'd like to. Or I could have just as easily gone for Mutalisks and the guy would have had no chance of deflecting it. But instead, I would like to try and see how Swarmhost does, as I know he's just walling up really big. I want to get better at using him, so I'm going to try. Spores and spines at these bases is protection. One spore at the back of this base. That's mostly there for oracles. Macro hatch, which isn't rallied effectively, I realize here really soon. Hydra Den coming down. If you're going to go Swarmhost, you need to have anti-air out there, so he doesn't come in with, 3 Void Rays and kill everything. Looks like he got pretty badly supply blocked. If you look at me, I'm at 192 extra supply. I have tons of bank. If you're a Zerg player and you got the larva, spend it. What's really limiting me right now is my gas, because I want to go into Swarmhost. You need tons and tons of gas. Still no upgrades on the way for him. My 2-2 is well on the way. Good size army. Good sentries in there. It looks like he did go for a drop with some Immortals and some Zealots. They're doing a good job against my Lings. My Lings are upgraded and his units are not. So I will take them out fairly quickly. Workers go back into there. He did lose his... I didn't see that I killed that at the time. I'm going to save my Queen though. And I'll take out that Immortal without too much trouble. Fairly expensive drop for him. It's worthwhile to just try to put on a little bit of pressure. But that was a little bit too risky, I would say. In this base, I mean, if you drop back here, he'd be alright, but not necessarily worth it. Not very many Swarmhosts out yet. My gas was really limited to me, but I got a huge pile of them in production. Some forward crawlers here. I think I'm playing this extra safe at this point, but that's a pretty good army. No upgrades. My 2-2's about to finish, so I'll do well. But still, that is a fairly substantial amount of units. Particularly when a lot of my supply is in workers right now. Bad running of that there observer. He's going to move out to secure a third. Smart play. I don't think he would have been able to bust me, so I like that move. Taking some swarm hosts. I'm going to go move in this way. I'm pretty sure I had a Ling up here that scouted this. My swarm hosts are about to be 2-2. So they're cutting through these zealots pretty fast. He is unhappy with my decorum at this point. I generally don't have too much rebuttal that I throw into these things when I play it this way. Swarmhost build is shite. Shiot. I enjoy him saying that when he is losing. I assume when he says something like that, he's got a really great plan in play. Like he's dealt with Swarmhost so many times. This guy's gonna just junior roll me in a really bad way. I run in a whole pile of Lings though, because he wasn't paying attention. And I cleared out almost his entire natural. I lost a few of my Lings there, not paying attention. Looks like I do save them. Does have an Colossus out that he's not using for anything, which is really clever. Oh man, buddy. Oh boy. I didn't get the Colossus, did I? No, that's a really terrible position for me. Lots of locusts now coming in. Did I move all my swarm hosts? No, I still have a few down here I haven't grabbed yet. But I have, up here, 15. I'm a little bit out of range at the moment, but right now I'm going into lots of Lings. And I'm also building Hydralisks behind this, but I'm essentially supply maxed at this point. I think at this point I tried to focus down the Nexus. I mean, it did some pretty good damage, but not quite enough. These aren't all timed up really well at this point, but I see the Colossus out. So what I want to make sure is that I don't get really screwed over. He is going to be going for a run around the other side. I believe I do. Yeah, I do catch this. So he's pushing in here, but this is why I have myself a nice big 2-2 army versus his 0-0 army. Moving my Lings around the outside. he wisely does force field off. That, look at that sick overlap. That is the sign of a pro. A pro that knows how to deal with the shite Swarmhost build. Look how tight that is. You couldn't breathe through those force fields. They're so badly overlapped. Anyways, I'm just gonna fall back. Let more locusts come out. I'm gonna lose 1 or 2 Swarmhosts. Really doesn't bother me too much. Now that his force fields are all gonna fall away, just gonna push in and... Oh, actually, I'm not gonna push in. I'm just gonna go and actually kill his shit. So you can see he's struggling to do anything, even though he knows exactly how to beat the Swarmhost build, apparently. I didn't want to let my army get trapped up here, but I do end up taking that out. Hydralisk's finally now part of the army to deal with his Void Rays. That must be his really big plan that he's got to deal with my shite Swarmhost build. He's fallen back to his base. If we look at his units, he's up 31 probes, so he's made him back a bit. If we look at workers killed, 25, it's healthy. It's a healthy worker kill amount. I'm going to move my Swarmhosts forward. I think I'm only down, yeah, I lost 2 during all that. Maxed out again on Hydralisks. I'm moving up to Hive Tech. I got my 4th base saturated with all the workers that were left here that weren't doing anything. No 3rd base up here. Looks like he wants to try and push out again. Bad timing. Here comes the Locusts. Here comes the rest of my units. I'm just waiting for him to commit. Nope, not yet. Yes. 2-2 Locusts. I should be starting 3-3 here pretty soon, but at this point I know I've got him on the ropes. Locusts don't have quite enough distance right now, so I'm moving forward my Swarmhost, I think, pretty soon. I don't know why these guys are going over here. I don't remember sending them all over there. And I've got bad rallies throughout this whole game. I was so worried about the front. Swarmhosts are one of those units you kind of want to tend to, because if you run into trouble, they'll just die off. Hold position on the Locusts, and massive Another pile coming before he can even move down the ramp. I mean, the Colossus are making good short route work of these guys, and the Void Rays are helping, but he's losing so much army in doing that. He's going to push out again, make for another try. Now I'll just run around his army. It's a good position for him. I mean, that is a great spot around that point. Locusts are kicking ass in here, though. Spire is going on the way in case I need to move the Corruptors. Ah, yes. How to lose your whole fucking army. Written by Leonad. Cool. I was going to mention something about my shite Swarmhost build, but he left too soon. I was hoping we could get into an argument about how awesome he was and his great strategy that he just didn't have the time to work out in order to deal with it. Anyways, another successful Swarmhost game. I enjoyed that a whole bunch. Hopefully if you guys like that, you can subscribe to my channel to see some more action coming down from the ladder in the next little bit. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.